All right, this is Manufacturing Systems Design Introductory Lab 1. So I'm going to be taking you through on how to connect CIROS to CODESYS. So initially, you will have CODESYS like this when you open it. So the product rating tab, this tab, you cancel it out. And then you have something like this. And then from here, you want to select new project. Then from new project, you must make sure that you select a standard project, not a standard project with something else, but a standard project. Then you will label whatever you want to call your file, and then you'll press OK. So and then like the codices will take a bit of time to load, like from this step, but yeah. So then on you'll have this tab. So one thing you must make sure that it's in order before pressing OK. You should make sure that you like there's a lot of like other devices, but you should make sure that you are on CODESYS Win V3. Like otherwise you'll have problem connecting your device when you start coding. So like because you can see that it's easier to make a mistake because there's a lot of similar looking devices like RTE V3, Win V3 64-bit, but you make sure that you choose this one. And then now at this point in time, we are using ladder logic, so we'll change our PLC programming language to ladder logic. Should be under ladder logic diagram, and then from then on you press OK, and then CODESYS will load. So and then you wait up until it has finished loading, and then after it has finished loading, you'll have something like this on this side of the screen. And then you double click on the tab named PLC underscore PRG, and then it should give you something like this, right? So from then on, you're gonna go to online, right? And then you're gonna select simulation. And after you select simulation, your code is like at the bottom part of it's gonna write simulation, because since we are not working with a real PLC, so you have to put it under simulation so we can get it to communicate to CIROS. And then from then on, you're gonna go to application, and then you're gonna right click on application, and then you're gonna go to add object, and then you're gonna add the symbol configuration tab. So then on like something like this is gonna appear, but you're not gonna like make any changes to this. You're just gonna press add, and then it's gonna begin loading, and then you're gonna have something like this now on your window. And then you're gonna go to settings, right? Then from settings, you're gonna enable direct IO access. You should make sure that this box is checked, right? And then from then on, you're gonna take your inputs. So in this case, you're gonna get your inputs. So these are your inputs. So you're just gonna copy them from here. And, so you're just gonna copy your inputs from here. Gonna make sure you copy all of them, right? And then you wanna paste them into your codices, right? And then you wanna make sure that there are no errors in your inputs. And then this, as I told you yesterday, that you should cancel this because it's gonna generate an error in your code. It wasn't supposed to highlight this. This is a page part of it. So yeah, you're gonna cancel this out, and then now your inputs are coded into codices. So now, since have all of your inputs, since you have all of your inputs indicated here, now you're gonna go to symbol configuration. You're gonna build for the first time, right? And then you're gonna get something like this. Then you're gonna select all of these variables, right? And then you'll build again, right? So after you finish building, you're gonna go back to your PLC PGR tab, then like, and then like from here, you wanna go back to like when I wanna now go to CIROS, right? And then from CIROS, like what you do is that you go to file, right? And then you're gonna file, and then you're gonna go to new, and then from new you're gonna select MPS system, not model, but not this one, but this one, MPS system, right? So after you click on MPS system, it's gonna give you like a tab where you can name your system. So you're gonna like maybe use your student number and name the file, and then you're gonna press save. Then it's gonna begin loading, and then from then on you'll get something like this. Then from this you're gonna there's a drop down. There's a drop down. You're gonna look for MPS system, and then and then since we found this is the MPS system. So like after you found this, there's a drop down here. So you're gonna select that drop down, and then like this is gonna give you different stations, right? So from these different stations, like in this context, we'll be working with the distributing or conveyor station. So this station, which is indicated, on this side. Then from then on, you'll add the station, right? So like as I have added the station, you can see on this side of the screen, like it has been loaded. So from then on, you're gonna cancel out this tab, right? Then before we move on, I want to indicate to you how you can navigate through the software. So like for you to move horizontally or vertically, you're gonna select on the move option, which is indicated here. You should make sure it's on. So after you've selected this, it's gonna ensure that you can move horizontally, you can move vertically or horizontally, right? And then you wanna use the mouse roll like to zoom in and zoom out. Then like next to the move option, we have what you call the rotate option. You can use this to revolve your system around, right? So if you want to revolve around your system and like maybe like get a preferred angle, you're gonna use these two options like to move around, right? So now like coming back to the connection part, after you've loaded your entire system, there's modeling, right? You wanna go to modeling here, and then you wanna click on modeling. Then you'll select Modeling Explorer, right? And then from Modeling Explorer, you're gonna go to Objects, right? And then you're gonna press the drop down under Objects. And then you're gonna select Distributing Conveyor Station. You're gonna just click on it, right? Don't double click, just click once. And then you're gonna get like all of these. And then our focus on this context is PLC distributing, right? So you're gonna right click on PLC distributing, and then you're gonna get something like this. From then on, you're gonna go to properties, right? And then after you press properties, you're gonna get something like this, right? So from then on, you're gonna go to control here, right? Then from control, you're gonna just click on it once also, and then at the bottom part of your tab, this is gonna appear. So in this context, we are not using the S7 simulator. We're gonna be selecting OPC client. So you should make sure that you change this because this is very crucial in helping us establish a connection between CIROS and CODESYS, right? So then on, after you've selected OPC client, you wanna go to the side, and then you wanna see the OPC client that we just created now. And then from then on, there's a drop down. You're gonna drop down, and then you're gonna get this part named items, right? Then you're gonna select it, and then after you select it, or you click on it once, don't click twice, click once. Then you're gonna get something like this tab, right? After you like after this step appears like on your computer, the first step is to press connect, right? And then it's gonna load, and then it's gonna give you these options. There's virtual PLC as a port 1 up to 3, and then there's CODESYS and there's PLC sim. But in our case, we'll be using the virtual PLC. So from the virtual PLC, we'll just, as you can see, there's a drop down tab. So we'll press the drop down tabs under virtual PLC. And then since in this case, we're not dealing with analog signals, you're gonna be using bits. So you're gonna select bits, right? Then after you select bits, it's gonna load like here at the bottom, at the bottom part of the tab. Then it's gonna give you these options. And then so like at this step of the process, this is very crucial because it's gonna help us learn. You should make sure that you connect the right inputs panel, the right panel inputs, PLC inputs, and the right outputs, because this is gonna help you connect, like make sure we're able to probably connect our CIROS and CODESYS. So how we go about this process is that we go back to CODESYS, right? And then we have this, and then we'll look at the panel inputs, right? So our panel inputs, how we label them, we call them like this percentage sign IX, then 0.0, or like the first panel input here. So like the way we labeled our inputs, we used 0 point something. Like this is as you can see, like the first panel input is 0.0, and then the second panel input is 0.1. So if we had like a third panel input, we're gonna label it 0. We're gonna be labeling it 0.2, right? So since we're like our panel inputs, they are labeled as 0 point something, that is gonna affect how we connect back here on 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 zeros. So this is very like important. So if you learn, so all inputs, whether it's the panel inputs or the distribution inputs, these inputs, since they are inputs, they directly correspond to EP on zeros. So since our panel inputs, we name them as 0 point something, 0.0, 0.1. How we're gonna connect this side? We're gonna look for EP0, right? So we're gonna select EP0. We're gonna select EP0 bit 0, and then we're gonna select like all of the EP0s up until bit 0.07. So this is 0.0. This is EP0, bit 0.1. So we're gonna select all of the EP0s on this side. So to select all of them, you should make sure you press control, you press and hold control, so you're able to select all of them. So now I've selected all of the EP zeros up until bit 0.07, right? So I'm gonna drop them under my panel inputs, but I should make sure, like when you are doing this, make sure you drop it. The panel we are dealing with now is the panel under inputs. So don't go to the panel under outputs. So you're just gonna come and drag them, and then you should make sure that like the first thing that is covered is panel underscore S1 up until panel I7 before you drop. So after I drop, it's gonna look something like this. As you can see now, all of the panels under input, they are all covered. So now I'm done putting in my panel inputs. So now like I'm gonna move on to my distribution inputs. These are my distribution inputs, these ones that I'm selecting now from I0 to I7, right? So since like the same principles apply when I'm connecting the distribution inputs, as since they are inputs, they're all connect, like they are complementary connection to zeros. It's EP, but the only difference is that like these ones, they are 1 point something. So if if I put them in as 1.0 maybe, or 1.1, like since they are all ones under here, like on CIROS, they're gonna correspond with EP, like all of the EP ones. So I'm gonna start selecting my EP ones, and then I'm gonna drop them here under like top inputs. So it's like I'm gonna start selecting from EP1 bit 0.0 up until EP1 bit 0.07. So now let me start selecting. So as you can see, I'm starting from EP1 bit 0.01. So yeah, like I'm selecting, like I'm gonna repeat again. So like, cause this is very crucial. So I'm selecting EP1 because here I coded my distribution inputs as IX 1.0, right? So I have to make sure that they correspond in the same way to learn. Because this EP1, it corresponds to like the one in the distribution inputs. So I'm gonna select all of them, then I'm gonna drop them on the other side, right? So then I've selected all of my EP ones, then I'm gonna drop them under inputs this side, right? And then as you can see, I cover from I0 to I7, right? Which means I'm done with my inputs. Now I have to deal with the output. So I'm gonna scroll down a bit on this side, right? Up until I get to outputs. So like one thing you should note before I get started, as you can see, like there's also panel this side, but we don't do anything with this panel. We're just here to focus on the outputs, right? And like outputs, what they correspond to here on CIROS, they are APs, right? Outputs are APs, like they are APs, some AP0, maybe AP1 or whatever, like, but they're always APs. So now you're gonna go back here, and then you're gonna look at like on CODESYS how you wrote your outputs. So in this case, our outputs, they are 1 point something, right? So if they are 1 point, like 1.0, 1.1, 1.2 on this side, so they're gonna correspond to the AP ones here on CIROS. So I'm gonna go to like AP1 bit 0.0. I'm gonna start here. Then I'm gonna select up until AP1 bit 0.07. So this is me selecting the outputs, right? So I'm gonna select up until bit 0.07, right? Then after I'm done selecting all of them, I'm gonna drag them, then drop them this side and ensure that they cover up until from Q0 up until Q7. So now after I'm done like loading in my inputs and outputs, I'm just gonna press apply, right? Always make sure that you have pressed apply, even if you press it, like you have to press it like 2 times or 3 times, because after we are done here, we have to cancel out this window. And if you didn't press apply, you're gonna have to start again like afresh. So make sure that you have pressed apply, so that you ensure that like these things, they don't change after. So and then after you are done pressing apply, you just cancel out the window, right? And then after you cancel out the window, you wanna press play on the side on zero. So you wanna press play. After you press play, right? There's gonna be like this window down here is gonna be blinking in a yellowish color, right? So you wanna just click on it, and then as you can see, it's saying one client connected, and the virtual controller is saying starting, and under CODESYS it's saying connecting, right? So this is indicating to us that a connection hasn't been established. So now one thing we have to do now to make sure a connection is established, you have to go back to CODESYS, right? Then from CODESYS, you wanna have to log in, and then after you log in, you're gonna get this, and then after you get this, you just press yes, and then from then on, it's gonna load, and then it's gonna take you to this side, right? And then you're gonna press play here. It's at the top. After you press play, as you can see now, it has changed. Like the status of the connection has changed. Here under virtual controller, it should say connected, and then under CODESYS it should say connected to localhost. And then from then on, we can we can be certain that a connection has been established between the machines. So now on, like, to ensure that the softwares are connecting, I'm gonna build a code to start the magazine. So as I told you, this is a contact. This is used to represent the input, right? So like this is gonna be our input, and then we're gonna connect it to an output. An output has kv, like it's like comma, not commas, I want to say like brackets. Yeah, it's like brackets. So and then this is your input. So you're gonna say, like in this case, we're gonna say, like if I press the start button, right? I want the magazine to push a part onto the conveyor belt, right? So now let me finish my code on this side. So I'm gonna say P0, which is the start button, right? Caps lock P0. If I press P0, I want it to activate my cylinder, right? I want it to actuate my cylinder forward. So I'm gonna say Q4, right? I'm gonna say Q4, and then from Q4, I'm gonna latch Q4. Latching is ensuring that the machine continues to send a continuous signal, so the thing doesn't go back almost instantly. But like we'll cover this more interesting. So just want to show you now the softwares are connecting. So now, like before I build the code, now as you can see, when I press this thing, as I press the start button, nothing is happening, right? As you can see. But after I've built my code, like for now here, to show that now the softwares are properly communicating, you have to build your code, and then you have to go to login, right? This is login here. This is login. You log in, and then you have to log in with download, right? You have to select this option, log in with download, and then you press OK, right? And then now you have to press play here on this side, right? So now let me share my screens. So now, like our connection has been established. Like that's how you establish a connection between CIROS and CODESYS. But you have to, like, to ensure that your connection is established, you have to make sure that under OPC one client is connected, and then under virtual controller the status has to be connected, and then under CODESYS you have to be connected to localhost, and then now you can ensure that your softwares are connected, right? And then now, like, this is where we'll stop, and then in the next session I'll indicate to you how to write code, right? Like how to program the system, right? So after, let's okay, yeah, this is basically it for this lab session. So yeah, all right, so sharp guys.